Hi, I am Jivamitra of Lavandi, representing Blue House.
Hi, I'm Gayatri of 10A and representing Blue House.
Warm greetings to everyone. Myself Sadhana from 12B representing Sivaji House.
I welcome everyone and I am Tarun Ram of 10A and I represent Shivaji House.
Kindly take your seats, children. So, let me tell you the guidelines for the debate. So, we have 2 minutes for your opening statement and 1 minute of grace time will be given. And then you have a counter argument. You have 1 minute for your counter argument and 1 minute for your concluding statement. So, there is a timekeeper. So, a newly appointed, we have a newly appointed person sitting in the middle. He's from White House. He is a timekeeper, right? So we'll start. And when you speak, just get up and then speak, okay? So we'll start the debate.
Hi folks, I am Jivamitra of Lavandi, here to speak about leaders are naturally born but not made. Leaders are born with certain traits and leadership qualities which can be developed through training and experiences which make them as leaders. It's all about that leadership is a skill which can be developed over time. For example, when we think about a jungle, the first and foremost fascinating animal which comes to our mind is lion, because the reason behind is lion is the king of our jungle and it is not made to be a leader but it is born as a leader. The innate qualities and leaderships of lion makes it a leader and rules over the jungle. Have you ever seen a three-spined stickleback fish? They were the most important species for for the research on initiative personality and social behaviors. Some fishes act bold and they lead, while some fishes are shy and they lead those who lead. So I conclude here, peoples and leaders are born but not made. Thank you.
So myself Sadhana, I'm going to emphasize the fact that leaders are made and not born. Generally, the legendary NBL coach Wayne Lombardi says that leaders are born and they are made. And she says that hard work makes the leader. And to achieve their goal, they must pay a price. That is their hard work, courage, confidence, etc. And every children of great leader doesn't become a leader. In fact, leadership is not an hereditary trait. It is a skill that must be cultivated by ourselves. Just take for an example, Ambedkar, a father of Indian Constitution. He was from a Dalit family and he doesn't know that he could be born in a Dalit family. Due to all the circumstances made by his community people, he arose from his community and framed the Indian Constitution. And he played a main vital role in shaping our India as a country. And he said that many amendments that make us to feel peace in this country and acquire several rights for us. Just think, if Ambedkar wasn't there, and there might be no frame of Indian Constitution, and today in this world we all might be enslaved for anyone. And a real practical life example, Jack Ma, who started with nothing but now he is a famous entrepreneur of Alibaba Express. Do you think he is a born leader? No, he was made. All his courage and circumstances made him to develop a e-commerce technology and he provided several jobs for many people. So I conclude that leaders are made and not born.
Leadership is a skill. It is a skill which is present in specific person and each and every one present here. And some specific person who inculcate these sort of leadership skills which is present in them evolve as leaders. Leaders are the one who made when they realize their own potential and their own reality of what they are really capable of, and hence they're already a born leader. I purely protest that leaders are always born and not made so. Born leaders are the one who are the inspiration. All other people who get inspired from these born leaders are the one and only born followers and not made leaders. Let me give a great example. It all starts with a great consideration of your own leadership skills. It all matters about what you think about yourself. Whether you consider your own leadership skills as your heart, as or your appendix. People who consider their leadership skill as their heart became leaders, and people who consider their own leadership skills as their appendix didn't do so. A great example. Let's take a newborn baby. When a newborn baby is born, it's all born with all the organs present in her, but not widely developed. These sort of organs develop as per the time, as per a person is born with his leadership skills in him, and when he realizes his own real leadership skill in him, he tend to become a leader, and hence he's already a born leader and not made so. So leaders are born and never ever made.
So round one is over. No, yet to finish. Okay, finish.
So they have told about certain qualities, right? Like certain qualities like adaptability and flexibility can only be gained by building a perception over time and training. And these abilities can only be learned by experiencing several situations. Just because you were born, you don't have. Someone who relies in their inborn abilities is not more successful and effective than someone who really faced those situations and came up as a leader. Now, for example, let's take Kamarajar. He doesn't know that he is going to be born in a poor family. He doesn't know that he is the one who will be going to fight for his people. But at that moment, he decided to be the leader who is going to fight for his people. And thus, in context, I say, leaders are not born, but they are made.
Round one is over. Now we'll move on to counter argument. You have 2 minutes time for the counter argument. You can start.
So as I have already said, leadership is not a hereditary trait. Take for an example, Abraham Lincoln, the most inspired people by America. His father isn't a leader. He was a cobbler, a shoemaker. And Abraham Lincoln was the son of a cobbler. And how did he acquire those leadership skills? If he acquired through genetics, what about his father? He wasn't a leader, right?
Let me say about Abraham Lincoln. Did only Abraham Lincoln went through all those sort of racism and discrimination? Even hundreds and thousands of people went through it. But why did Abraham Lincoln alone stood and fought for it? Because he only was built with this, he didn't get it from genetics, but he was built with it. He was built with his own leadership skills, which triggered himself to become a leader and fight for his own rights.
Well, I would like to say a fact here. They said Abraham Lincoln was built for leadership. Who said those things? He is a pro wrestler. He is a wrestler who has won 300 matches in his life. No defeats. No defeats with 300 wins. I don't think there is a wrestler who has 300 wins in his lifetime. I don't think so. His main goal was wrestling. But the situation, he understood that not only for his people, but he has to fight against racism. And at that moment, the decision which he took made him to fight for his people. And now he is a great and remembered leader.
As per you say, the situationship triggered him, right? Situationship triggers what? Did it trigger anything? It triggered the own leader who was resting within himself. It triggered all his leadership skill which was built within himself naturally. Okay, let me take with the great Rajaraja Solan. He was one of the most notable leader in the whole Chola dynasty. He got all this leadership skills because he was not, none of them came Rajaraja Solan and fought with him. He got all his leadership skills with his great father Sundara Solan. And all those leadership skills traveled from Sundara Solan to Rajaraja Solan and didn't stop with him. It also went as Rajendra Solan. He was also in great Chola dynasty. It is all some people evolve as leader by genetics. Some people evolve as leader by their own realization of their own potential.
Now, Gayatri addressed about Raja Solan, right? Raja Solan is a king, I accept it. He did good rule. But in what manner? If it means for only particular people to get education, and if that's good rule, yeah, Raja Solan did good rule. During his rule, only the king's family got education. Not everyone got education. Why? Because they need workers, they need slaves. If slaves get education, they don't get slaves for themselves. So the only reason they gave education for themselves is to keep slaves. I don't think keeping slaves is a good rule. If you guys say keeping slaves is a good rule, yeah, Raja Solan did a good rule, of course.
He used the slave for building the great, one of the most imperishable monument which is still standing in Tanjavur called the Tanjai Periyar Kohil. He didn't abolish slaves, but he used his slaves in a wiser way. He didn't treat his slaves. If you say Rajarajan Solan like that, he was one of the most notable king who even he built the Tanjai Periyar Kohil, and you know where he placed his own statue at a corner, and he literally sculptured Jagadishwara and under Shivan's temple. He didn't consider himself, but he worked for his people, and hence he is standing still in every Tamilian's heart as per Tanjapere Kolduzia.
Well, if he's really that much of a good leader, why does he need a statue for it? Why does he need a statue if he's that much of a good leader? He doesn't need any statues. And now I say, any great leader doesn't need statues. They don't need publicity. We are self-made. We are made like anything through hard work.
Okay, let's stop with this. We'll move on to your concluding statement. So what are you going to do to conclude? You have 1 minute time for your concluding statement. And your time starts now.
So now, for everyone present here, I have a question. Does anyone has any hatred or objections toward Abdul Kalam? No one, obviously, because he's a self-made leader. He's a leader from people, someone who knows what people want. Since he faced so many hardships, he doesn't know that he is going to be born in a poor family in Rameswaram. He doesn't know that he is going to be studying in a government school. But later, he would be the president of India. No one knew it, including his parents. But at that moment, the decision which he took to fight for his people made him the missile man of India. And day to day, he is a respectable leader. And now, I emphasize the fact that people's leader like Abdul Kalam are always made and never born.
Let me raise a great question. How does a tree grows without a seed? And how does a man becomes a leader without having his own leadership skills, which is born with him naturally, and hence he is evolving as a leader? Each and every situation trigger the own leadership skills, which is present in them naturally, and hence leaders are made when they realize their own potential. Once potential gets to know about their own leadership skills by realization. So leaders are always born and never ever made. Thank you.